Welcome to the Real Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by
the Resilience DoctHers,
Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL resilient framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out.
The Resilience DoctHers.
Alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. The implementation of the alignment framework prevents some of the most common problems in education, where leaders sometimes aren't sure where to start, or in our new age of educating, leaders need a trusted sounding board that allows them to be vulnerable and transparent, preventing loneliness at the top. The framework doesn't just help leaders, but also prevents teachers from burning out from too many initiatives and embracing teachers as they are the experts. Finally, the framework extends to the children, helping them get engaged in school and solving a nationwide problem. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in
the Resilience DoctHers
to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. Take a look. People who work with
the Resilience
describe them as
DoctHers.
an excellent and inspiring group of leaders. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
It's Super Saturday, everyone. Welcome to episode 242 of the Real Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate with your very own Resilience DoctHers. I'm Dr. Sheikah Houston.
Good morning, and I'm Dr. Tammy Taylor, and we are very excited to continue season 5 with you as we build systems that truly create resilient schools.
Absolutely. So if this is your first time tuning in, you may be wondering, well, who are the Resilience DoctHers?
And we are very glad that you asked. We are best-selling authors, children's book authors, award-winning educators, and speakers who transformed our schools after improving our report cards 2 and 3 levels in just a single year.
Absolutely. And if you are a real fam member, just put in the comments what kept you resilient in the work this week. What kept you resilient in the work this week? And after we improved our schools, as Tammy stated, 2 and 3 report card levels in 1 year, one of the main questions that we're asked when we're presenting, when we're out doing professional development, if we have speaking engagements, what did you do or how did you do it? And with our phenomenal staff members, we were able to do lots of great things that we have incorporated into our real framework. And that framework is what you see at the top of the pane over our shoulders. The acronym stands for respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. And it is a easy framework for us to help other leaders in schools and educators duplicate the same work that we did at our schools with our great staff members. So if this is something that you need, something that you are looking for some insights on, help with literacy strategies, if you need a children's book authors visit, we are also children's book authors. So, and if you haven't picked up Amir's Awakening, make sure you do that. But contact us through our website on the contact form.
Yes, and if you are not able to actually bring us in, you can always keep tuning in here to the Real Academy, where we have impacted over 300,000 educators and about 7 million students, all through our free Fantastic Four PD that starts each Saturday morning, which has been deemed as Super Saturday by Principal Kafele here at 10 a.m. with Principal Sean Hurt, who is always on fire. I don't think he was here this morning, but he'll be back in full force, I'm sure, next Saturday. And then here with us at 10:30 in the Real Academy, yours truly, Create and Educate. And then at 11 a.m., the leader's mentor and the GOAT of all things leadership in the AP and New Principles Academy with Principal Kafele. And then on Sunday, it's rounded out with what I think Shika calls Sensational Sunday with our PGP podcast with Dr. Marty Moreno and Principal Josh Tovar.
Absolutely. So please like, share, subscribe, send the stars, do all of the things that the platforms do. We say please and thank you. And if you are a real fan member, you know what time it is. It is shout out time. So we are thankful. You could be doing a lot of things, but you're intentional about being here with us, and we appreciate you for it. So, AP Patrick Lawrence from Connecticut, thank you for joining us. Chancellor Rashard Davis from Las Vegas, thank you for joining us. Miss September Devance Vance Daniels, thank you for joining us. The one and only Coach Dot McKeever Jeter, thank you for joining us, and happy Saturday to you as well. Dr. Melissa Jones Chunu, thank you for joining us. And she also filled in for us a couple of Saturdays there. So we thank you for that. Miss Queen Stacy L. Joy over on the West Coast, thank you for joining us. Constance Sherrod out in Mississippi, Pearl, Mississippi. We appreciate her for joining us. Thank you so much. Our other brother in the work, Principal Josh Tovar, thank you for joining us. Oh, he's at a conference today. We appreciate you, Josh. And Principal Hurt's son is playing, I think, AAU basketball. So we know that family definitely comes first. So he will be back when that is over. Dr. Edwin Garcia, thank you for joining us. He has a new book out. So if you have not gotten his new book, make sure that you get your hands on that. Queen Jacqueline Harriet out from Canada, our sister from Canada, thank you for joining us. And the GOAT is here, Principal Kafele. We appreciate you and thank you for joining us always. And if I missed anybody, please charge it to my head and not to my heart. Um, we are on spring break this week, so we have been spring breaking. I have been enjoying my break. I don't know about you, Tammy. Have you been enjoying yours?
I have.
So my daughters and I have done a few things, but mostly rested and working on some other things. And David Bell is joining us from Benton Harbor, Michigan. So thank you for joining us. So we're going to go ahead and get right to it if there's no other announcements. If you did see a post from my sister and I, we do have an announcement coming. I think we're going to make it Monday for a project that she and I are working on. So stay tuned for that. So, over the last several episodes, we've been talking about multiple systems: MTSS systems, monitoring systems, your systems to empower your adults, your instructional coaching systems, your systems that include PLCs, data, action, and prevention. So, today we're going to be talking about something that determines whether or not those systems actually last, and that is culture.
For sure, because you can have the best systems in place, but if your culture is not aligned and is all out of whack, systems will not stick.
You are absolutely correct, Tammy, because culture determines how people feel, how people respond, and how people engage. It's not what you say your school is, it's what people experience every day. So you can be saying that it's one thing, but if people are feeling something different when they get there, that's what they're going to base what your school is about on, how they feel. So culture is not created through posters or slogans. It's created through those daily interactions, those leadership decisions, those classroom expectations, and how people are treated. And Tammy, we'll have to go back and forth on the comments. I don't see if we have any Brandon yet.
Okay. Yeah, just in line with what Shika was saying, when you are thinking about culture in a building, you have to think about it from multiple perspectives. Just because when you are a student in the building and you are a teacher in the building, you're experiencing this culture every day in the hallways, in your classrooms, in meetings, in conversations, in the workroom, in the teacher's lounge, everywhere that you go, your front office, everywhere speaks to what the culture in your building feels like. But you also have those same spaces where parents are experiencing your culture. And you have those same spaces where visitors that are coming into the building are also experiencing your culture. So you can promote a wonderful, amazing, fabulous place through displays, through pictures and posts on Facebook. You can and all the other social media outlets, and you can do all the things that present you as a wonderful place to be. But it kind of goes back to what Shika said before. How do people feel when they walk through the doors?
Absolutely, Tammy. And we always align what we're talking about to our real framework because this is how our work is duplicated. So let's align culture to real. So we that first part of the acronym is respect. Respect means people feel valued and they feel safe. So if upon first walking into your school, people are barking at the children and the cars as they, the mean mugging people to flag them along. They aggravated with the people in the car line. The children getting barked at as they get out the cars. They fussed at about what they got on, what they not doing. They ain't moving fast enough. That is not a feeling of safety nor value. So and you when leaders when you're creating your duty spots, there are people who would do better with certain things than others. So if you know that you have someone who that's not their strong suit, don't put them in the front car line. That's not who you want at the entrance of your building. And also when you're hiring for your front office, I cannot tell you how important of a position your front office staff member's position is. I used to have a task oriented way to hire for the front office. It wasn't just coming in to answer some questions. You had to do multiple things, task oriented things, so I could see if you would be a right fit for my front office. And a lot of times people wouldn't get through those tasks. If you are not a person who can handle stress or handle people barking at you, because a lot of times that's going to happen to the front office staff people, and stay calm, cool, and collected, you're not cut out for the front office. So that feeling of feeling valued and safe is a very real feeling that has to happen. Excellence means that you have to have high expectations and that they are consistent. So this should be seen across the building, every classroom, not just going in a few classrooms and seeing it. Accountability means that there's follow through and that's it is expected. So somebody is inspecting what you're holding people accountable for. You're not just letting people, oh well, that's so and so. They do such a good job. I ain't gonna bother them about this or that. You have to have high expectations for everyone, everything, and everybody, because everybody's watching. Literacy, that means that the learning is prioritized across the curriculum. It's not just falling on the ELA or the reading teachers. And then leadership, leaders model what matters. So you can't be having all of these expectations for everybody else and then you flouncing in 2 hours behind the start time. You have to be seen out doing the work with your people, or else people are not going to respect you.
For sure. And the modeling matters a lot because most of the time, the culture of the building is set, it's determined by your actions. Like people really do um, learn what they live. And if you are someone who doesn't bother to say good morning, you're walking down the hall, you're not a morning person, you're walking down the hall, and when you meet somebody, you turn your head so that you don't have to say good morning, you're not going to have a great feeling tone in the building. You have to force yourself to be in the moment, be present, and say good morning. How are you this morning? Whether you feel like it or not. Like, I mean, not I'm not a morning person, but you know what I have to do when I'm in a school building says that I am. People would think that I'm a morning person. You're gonna have to go back to that whole mindset about the car line that Sheikah was talking about, getting your aces in the right places. You don't want somebody on the car line who they don't feel like being bothered in the morning. You need people out there who are jovial and want to say good morning, because even if you aren't barking at the kids when they get out of the car, you open the door, get on out of here. You're not saying a word, just go on into the building. You still are setting the tone for the day. So you really do want to model what you expect. And one thing that I think is very important about that office is they really are going to take their lead from you. The way you respond under crisis oftentimes sets the tone for how your people respond. If you fly off the handle every time something goes awry, you can best believe if you have anybody in there with a tendency to go off quickly, they're going to go to 100 in just a few seconds. So be sure that modeling does present you in a way that demonstrates who you are as the cultivator of the culture in your building. Because when culture aligns with the systems that Sheikah was just talking about, you will begin to see an increase in your consistency, and those systems actually become sustainable. One of the biggest challenges that we face in any school, and that's across the country, we've seen it in lots of different places, is inconsistency. Different expectations, different responses, different experiences. You go into one class and the teacher's teaching her heart out. Kids are doing fantastically. You are seeing learning in action, and you give that teacher the same feedback that you give to the teacher who you go in the class and it is chaos sitting in there and it isn't chaotic learning. You're not consistent in your responses for whatever reason. And that's something that as leaders we have to examine. We have to be willing to level set expectations, those expectations guys that we talked about last week, the week before. Those are absolutely ways to set the expectation across the building. You do not have one set of expectations in this class or that class at this grade or that grade. And because of the expectations being in place, consistency can happen with instruction. But if you present differently for different people, or Shika talked about you rolling in there a couple hours after school has started, and you are on some of the teachers who are late coming to pick their kids up from fine arts, those responses are not consistent. Like, come on. You really have to be able to be a leader who provides the consistency that staff are looking for, because what they will do, even if they don't say it to you, they're taking notes. And every time you do something that they consider to be inconsistent, that's something that will be held against you in the future, because they're looking for you to be inconsistent. And that's just the nature of the beast of being in a building. So we really want you to just think about how putting those systems in place and aligning them to what you've set up as expectation for the culture in that building will allow for that consistency to happen.
Absolutely. And I see all of the comments. Principal Kafele saying yes, yes, yes. Dr. Garcia is saying your inaction is just as important as your action, and he's definitely right. Chancellor Rashard Davis saying preach. Constance is saying great advice. And Miss Dot says that Coach Dot, have the right people leading your parade. Having the right secretary greeting your parents, visitors is so important. And she is absolutely right. And to add to what Tammy said, sometimes communication breaks down. The secretaries a lot of times are, or your administrative professionals are in the office when you're having your teachers meetings, and a lot of the information that they need to know never make it back up to the office. So I had office staff meetings to make sure that all of that communication, everything that we talked about, all of the expectations, things I needed them to know, because that was their PD. A lot of times we miss giving our office staff members PD. We have to have PD for everybody in the building. And so a lot of times you think things are known, they may not be known. And you are the person who's responsible for making sure that that communication gets to where it needs to be, and all of that training and PD happens at every level of your building. So consistency builds trust. I had a system in place that was a part of my communication system, and trust is the foundation of a strong culture. So culture doesn't happen by accidents. You have to create it. Like I was just talking about, having that system for communication, making sure you're having PD, making sure that everybody knows, like Tammy talked about, what the expectations are. You create it. You create it through prioritization. You create it through what you allow. You create it through what you enforce, and you create it through what you model.
And that's a mic drop, because we go back to the modeling and why that's the beginning of consistency. Because when you model what you expect, believe it or not, that's what happens. And there's no rhyme or reason for it. You're not creating hostility with your work. People just come to know you and what your expectations are. And guess what they do? They rise to the occasion. And it's not just the staff, students do the same thing. Parents, when they learn how you operate as an administrator, guess what they do? They learn how to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when parents recognize that you're not a principal who's going to bow or fold just because somebody raises their voice, and that you are a person of reason, guess what they learn how to sit down and do? Have a reasonable conversation. You teach people what you want and how they need to treat you, but you also teach them how they need to treat circumstances in your school. And how does that happen? Exactly the way she could just mention, through all those means, especially through the modeling. And I will just say this: if leaders do not intentionally build culture, it gets shaped unintentionally. And you don't want that. You don't want your culture to be the result of, as we heard she could say, I think she said that Edwin Garcia said, inaction is also a factor in making things happen, because if you do not intentionally do it, what happens is unintentionally now you're faced with a hot mess. So what you want to do is make sure you're the driver and that you are creating the kind of culture that you want to exist in your building. And that does not look the same from building to building. So
Mm-hmm.
you cannot take what we're telling you this morning and go back to your building on Monday and say, well, here's what Shika said she did. Here's what Tammy said she did. No, you take those frames from our real framework and you take each one of those systems and you put it into place in a way that makes sense for your context. And then you start to see results, because consistency is what comes from that.
Absolutely, Tammy. I'm so glad you said that because who's in the building, what they need, all of that matters. And you, the leader, has to be the person who discerns what those needs are and meet them exactly where they are. So you are spot
Definitely.
on with that. So you have to ask yourself, what does your culture feel like for students, for teachers, as Tammy said, parents? What does it feel like to be inside of your building?
Yeah, for visitors, you can, and Shika's on here to attest to this. Sometimes I've had folks to come into the building, even from the district office, and say, your building has a different feeling tone to it. You can come in the door and feel very differently, and it's all about what has been put into place, and that is what you want your culture to feel like. Not, oh my God, let me get out of here, or break out my oil. Like, what is going on here? Because what you have to remember is culture is not about what you say, it's about what people experience when they're there.
Absolutely. So, thank you all for joining us for episode 242 of the Real Academy. We do have a assessment for your culture that aligns with the Real framework. So, if you would like a copy of that, if you get subscribe to our leadership guide that goes with each episode, that will be included in there. But make sure that you join Principal Kafele next in the AP and New Principals Academy. And then on Sunday, be sure that you join Josh and Dr. Madi Moreno. And then right back here on Super Saturday, I can't remember if Principal Sean Hurt is going to have another game or if he'll be back. I think he said he'd be back on the 25th, if I'm not mistaken. But yours truly, Create and Educate, will be here at 10:30. And then Principal Kafele is at 11. So we are hoping that you all have a real amazing Super Saturday.